Hello, everybody. I am very, very glad to be here. I love you too. I have to apologize a little bit because I do hate definitions. I hate to answer what is design. I think it is such a crap question. As a designer myself, is it possible to actually become happy? And one of the very, very simple sentences that I read a while ago, design your life or your designy life or your studio or your freelance practice, doing more of the stuff that you do like and less of the stuff that you don't like. The possibility of thinking without pressure is a big enjoyment for me. Be able to get lost in a project, to really work on it so that the world outside really falls away. I'm sure many of you know that feeling. Worked on this annual report for a lighting company. The brief was, show the power of light. So we took all the budget that we had, poured it into this cover. It's a three-dimensional cover, it's a relief. It's pretty thick, about 3 centimeters. And that cover allowed us to illustrate the whole annual report just by photographing the cover under different lighting conditions. I, of course, come from a generation where I still learned graphic design using an incredible amount of tools, and we tried to get back to that. One of the posters, this was an exhibition for a show we did in France, just used every possible technique that I could think of, all put into one, simply because it's joyful to switch between various techniques and not get stuck behind the screen all day long. This is Casa da Música, a big music center playing all sorts of music from classical to raves. And we were asked to design the identity for it. I told the client, we are not, because it's a famous architect, this is Rem Koolhaas, a famous Dutch architect who built it. And I told the client in the beginning, we are not going to build a architectural identity, because I hated all these silly little renderings of the piece of architecture for cultural centers. 2 months later, I had to call the client and say, sorry, couldn't manage to do it without the identity. And the reason that all came about was because I did read the presentation of Rem Koolhaas to the city of Porto, why he built the building that way. And he had mentioned that he was organizing in its form different layers of meaning. It sounded a little bit like architecture speak to me, but when I thought about it for a second, the organization of different layers of meaning basically is logo making, to make a single shape out of various layers of meaning. And when I figured out, oh, Rem actually sees the building itself as a logo, then the whole thing was solved. So we took a photo of the building and put a black mask over it, and we were almost done. We dug into the ground to really set it free, then looked at it from all sides and stopped it 6 times. So this is the southern view, northern view, eastern view, western view, top view, and the bottom view. So you have these 6 logos of the same building. We colored them in, but in a very particular way. We had a friend of mine, a very good computer programmer, write for us a Casa da Música logo generator. So if you put this Beethoven image into a scanner and you press a button, it will give you in a second a Casa da Música Beethoven logo, extracting all the visual information that's in that Beethoven image and giving you that logo. And if Frank Zappa's music is performed, as it was, if Lou Reed or the Chemical Brothers or all these other artists come to play, the logo changes with them. It also works internally. This is the president of Casa da Música. They get their own portrait of their logo on their business cards. We thought, oh, maybe this could also work for the posters Porto is a very walkable city, so posters play a very big role within that city. And only logos are allowed. This is our limitation. Only logos are allowed to express the content of the artists. Amsterdam, a fairly work-intensive piece on a plaza, using the grid of the stone plates that were already there in the plaza as our guide. We built up with over 100 volunteers working a whole week away. This piece, Obsessions Make My Life Worse and My Work Better. It is 600,000 euro cents, and our challenge was, will people actually take the money because this was widely open, or do they think the piece itself is nice enough to just leave the money? And of course we thought over time people will of course take it. While we were building it up, the neighbors of that plaza got quite attached to the piece, and on the first opening night, when a guy in the evening came with big bags and shuffled as many of the euro cents that he could carry away into the bags, one of the neighbors there called the police, thinking she had to protect it. And the police came, and they did protect the artwork by shuffling it all together, putting it into bags and making it safe so we could collect bags and bags of euro cents back from police headquarters. So it really lasted, I think, for 4 or 5 hours. Thank you very much. Thank you.